Now to more Unicam coverage. Second round debate tomorrow for the controversial abortion bill. The bill would ban abortions once cardiac activity is detected on an ultrasound, usually around 6 weeks, with certain exceptions for cases of rape, incest, or medical emergencies that threaten a mother's life. One of the bill's co-sponsors, Senator Merv Repe, has filed an amendment to change the ban to 12 weeks. Currently in Nebraska, abortion is legal up to 20 weeks.